reality is most agents get hung up on expired listings. This script that I'm going to share in this video gets them on the phone, gets them making the calls. Look, I've made over 100,000 calls to expired listings in my career, and I've watched agents completely bomb these conversations over and over again. They either sound like every other telemarketer or they get defensive when the seller gets frustrated. But here's what I discovered. Come take a walk with me because it's getting a little dark in my backyard. Let's see if we can find some better lighting. And it's a beautiful night. All right, back to what I discovered. The sellers who just had their listing expire, they're not mad at you. They're frustrated with their situation. And if you approach them the right way, they'll actually appreciate your call. So I'm about to give you the exact script that helped me build a 6-figure real estate business word for word. So before I give you the script, you need to understand why most agents fail with expired listings. Here's what most agents sound like.
Hi, I saw your house didn't sell. Would you like to list it with me instead?
That's not what the seller wants to hear. That's terrible. You just reminded them of their failure and immediately asked for business. Of course, they're going to hang up. Here's what you need to understand when someone's house expires. They're going through a range of emotions. They're frustrated, maybe embarrassed, definitely disappointed. They had somewhere they needed to go and now they're stuck. The last thing they want is another agent calling them asking for their business. But what they do want is someone who understands their situation and can actually help them solve their problem. Here's the mindset shift that changed everything for me. I stopped trying to get their listing and I started trying to help solve their problem. When I call an expired listing, I'm not calling to see what they can do for me. I'm calling to see what I can do for them. I remember one call where the seller immediately said, hey, we're taking it off the market. We're done. And instead of trying to convince them otherwise, I said, hey, I completely understand. That's frustrating. But just out of curiosity, if the home had sold, where were you moving to next? That simple question changed the entire conversation. And instead of hanging up, they started talking about their motivation. 20 minutes later, I had a listing appointment scheduled. The magic isn't the script. It's in the intention behind the script. Okay? Now let's dive into the actual script. I'm going to break it down piece by piece so you understand why each part works. I like to start off with, hi, I'm not sure if you can help me. I'm calling about the home that recently came off the market at 123 Main Street. By any chance, is that your home? Notice, I didn't use their name like a telemarketer. I said, I'm not sure if you can help me. That's a pattern interrupt. Most people want to help, so subconsciously they're thinking, how can I help this person? When they confirm it's their property, I say, okay, great. Well, I specialize in helping homeowners who've had their home on the market before. And I'm just curious, are you planning to try to sell again? Or have you decided to stay put for now? This is brilliant because you're not assuming anything. You're giving them permission to say they're not selling, which actually makes them more likely to tell you the truth about their plans. If they say we're staying with the same agent, that's great. They just have that loyalty. So say, just out of curiosity, what's going to be different this time to get it sold? You're not attacking their agent. You're asking logical questions that gets them thinking about the real issues: price, marketing, timing. Now, here's where most agents panic. When the seller gets emotional or frustrated, this is actually when you're closest to getting the appointment. They might say, where were you when my house was on the market? And say back, that's a fair question. The truth is, I wasn't paying attention to your property then because you had representation. But now that I see it didn't sell, I'm wondering if there might be something I could do differently to help get it sold. The key is to acknowledge their frustration without getting defensive. Remember, they're not mad at you. They're frustrated with their situation. If they say, I'm taking it off the market, say, I completely understand. That's a frustrating process, and I get why you'd want to take a break from it. But just out of curiosity, if the home had sold, where were you planning to move next? You're not challenging their decision, you're acknowledging it, and then redirecting to their original motivation. Most of the time, that motivation is still there. So here's how I convert these conversations into actual appointments. Here's what I say. You know what? Based on what you're telling me, I think I might be able to help you get this home sold. I specialize in selling homes that didn't sell the first time. That's actually my niche. Would you be open to me taking a quick look at the property and giving you my honest opinion on what might need to change to get it sold? Now, if they hesitate, say, look, I'm not asking you to sign anything or make any commitments. I just want to give you a professional opinion. If I can't help you, I'll tell you that too. Fair enough? Now you're going to want to close. So say, great, I'm actually going to be in your area tomorrow afternoon. Would 2 or 4 p.m. work better for you? Remember, most expired listing calls don't end in immediate appointments. That's okay. Your goal is to have a real conversation and plant seeds for future opportunities. And here's what separates good agents from great agents. the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. If they don't set an appointment, but they're planning to sell later, you need to capture them as a nurture. So I'd say something like, hey, real quick, before I let you go, when you are ready to get this house sold, are you open to interviewing me for the job? Or do you already have an agent in mind? This is where you want to get their contact info. So say, great, what I'd like to do is send you some information about what I do differently and say, would that be okay? And they'll say, yeah, sure. And then follow up with what's your best email. Now you have their contact information and you can follow up with value over time. Some of my best listings came from expired calls that didn't list immediately, but I stayed in touch, sometimes over months and even years. This script works, guys, but only if you actually use it. Here's my challenge. Tomorrow morning, find 10 expired listings in your market and make these calls. Use this exact script. I guarantee you'll have at least 2 real conversations and probably 1 appointment. If you want the complete expired listing system, including all these objection handlers and scripts, I put together a free mini course in the description. And if you're thinking about doing something like Redx, that's going to get you all the contacts for expired listings. There's also a discount code in the description where you'll save $149. And if this helped you, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel because that really helps me. And I'm going to head back inside for some dinner now. You guys have a great night.